Well, we'll go ahead and get started and see if we are picking up some more as folks come back from their break. I want to make sure everyone is in the right space. This is Holistic Wellness Wheel Exploration with our presenter, Jennifer Rodriguez. For those of you who I've not met yet, if this is your first session in the conference today, my name is Tom Haggard. I'm the director of the Kentucky Out of School Alliance. Excited to welcome you to our Springboard to Summer virtual conference that we're co-hosting with the Oklahoma Partnership for Expanded Learning. So with that, you are going to start off on mute, but this is a collaboration. So if you have questions, feel free to either drop them in the chat, come off of mute. We definitely want to hear what you have to say, make the session as worthwhile for you as possible. I'm going to drop a little bit more information about Jennifer in the chat so you know kind of where she's coming from. But other than that, I'll hand it over to her and we will get this session started.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. Good morning, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. Super excited to have you guys here. If you don't mind, I'd love if the cameras could come off so we can engage with each other, just because, it's nice to talk to a face and not to the names, the black screens, if you can. So Tom did drop some info there about me. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen and start our conversation where I will introduce myself and all the good stuff, talk about the company. So let me go ahead and share the screen now.
I'm excited today.
Okay. So again, my name is Jennifer Rodriguez, and you are here for the Holistic Wellness Wheel session. Is anyone here familiar with Kid Grit? You can go ahead and put it in the chat if you are, or if you aren't. Is anyone familiar with Kid Grit? Have you ever heard of it? Kid Grit is awesome. Thank you, Tom. So I'll tell you, heard of it, but not very familiar. Okay, awesome. So I'll tell you about Kid Grit. So we are a small company founded in Los Angeles by two wonderful individuals, Julia Gabor and Jeffrey Jordan. They both came across each other in New York City. Julia was born in New York City while Jeffrey was born in another state, but he grew up in New York City. Point is that when they came across each other, they wanted to work with inner city kids and just children that needed the level of support that needed to be seen differently, not just academically. So Jeffrey's background is in holistic wellness, while Julia's background is in curriculum development. So those two minds just got together and they built this amazing company. So the Holistic Wellness Wheel session is the foundation session to everything else that we do. We focus not only on professional development, but we also have workshops and curriculum for young people. We service grades pre-K through 12. We work with all levels of leadership. We work with frontline staff. We work with instructional day teachers to OST programming. So we run the entire gamut. We're currently in 25 states and growing, and we just love what we do. We're like a professional development company that really focuses on personal development. So it's like the two worlds come together. So if you're just a person who's like, you know what, I believe big in personal development, no personal development, this may not be the workshop for you, but I hope that you stay because you're gonna dig deep. All right. So, let me go ahead. So Kid Grit, we're a company that's very innovative, very soul-driven, personal. We focus a lot on personal and professional development, like I said. Our biggest focuses are passion, perseverance, and grit, self-confidence, which ultimately drives to success, right? Success doesn't only have to be academic. Success looks very different to people. So success is a very broad word that can mean anything to anyone. Kid Grit is a collective is passionate about equipping educators and students with the tools needed for success. And like I said, we're mindful. We have an innovative approach that builds confidence and character, resilience, social emotional learning, self-care, and wellness. We are a very human development driven company. It is human development for us. And you'll see that for our workshop, we need little but to no materials. And there's a reason why we do that. All right. It's not like, hey, jump on this platform and get it done and then keep going about your day. Everything we do is meant to be engaging, is meant to be collaborative and hands-on. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I know it's in the chat, but my background, I'm originally from New York City, born and raised in the Bronx. I currently live in Orlando, Florida. I've been here for 2.5 years. My background is nonprofit youth development. So I've worked youth development, started at the age of 14 when I got my first summer youth employment job, did that ever since. In New York, right before coming to Orlando, I was a regional director for a nonprofit program where I oversaw under-resourced community programs in areas of Brooklyn. So if you've heard anything about Brooklyn or just affordable housing, that's the kind of work that I did. And we would say from cradle to the grave. So we worked with anyone and everyone. And then I came to Florida and I transitioned from nonprofit into teaching. So I got into the Florida DOE, taught for 1.5 years. I taught ELA. It was good, but I hated it. I cried every single day. I was like, this is not it for me. I'm not developing people. I'm just being told to do content that I don't feel comfortable facilitating. And then I resigned, and then I've been with K-Grid ever since, doing the work that I enjoy, building people, building teams, and here we are now. So let's dive into it, all right? And if I go too fast, please let me know. I'm very Dominican, and Dominican people speak very fast. Just wanted to put that out there for you guys. All right, so why we are here? So we are here to focus just on wellness, our overall wellness. We're gonna discuss that through the tool that we're gonna be using, which is the Holistic Wellness Wheel tool. We're gonna cover a little bit about our mental wellness. We are going to focus on grown-up SEL. I know that a lot of times we only talk about SEL for young people, but there is such a thing, grown-up SEL exists in our emotional IQ. We're gonna dive in. Everything we do is personal development. Okay, and we're gonna have a human connection during a very weird time, and we're gonna try to create something regular during an irregular time. And the reason we say irregular time, because for many people, many states, a lot of states are still transitioning out of the pandemic or the COVID era and coming in back to the norm, all right? And this is why we say from regular to irregular. All good so far? And if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat and I'll address them. For today's agenda, we've gone through the intro, we've gone through why we're here. We're going to do some housekeeping, which is AKA our safe space. We'll do that activity together. Then we're going to dive in and explore the holistic wellness wheel together. We're going to do some independent work, and then we're going to jump in and go into breakout rooms. Then we're going to come back and we're going to reflect, and then we're going to go back into breakout rooms. We're going to work on some strategies. So you're going to be able to walk away from this workshop in the next time that we have with things that you can implement today and get started on. Some time for planning, and then just our takeaways. So my question to you is, right, in order for you to learn, in order for you to take away anything from this workshop today, what does a safe space mean to you? What do you need for this next 45 minutes in order to thrive, in order to feel successful? So you can go ahead and put it in the chat. I'll give us 30 seconds. So anything you need. So do you need respect? Do you need transparency? What does that look like for you? You can put it in words. It could be a sentence. So go ahead. So go ahead and put it in the chat. What does a safe space mean to you? Open and understanding. Yep. I'll give us some time to think about it. Thank you so much, Lauren. No judgment. Thank you, Stephanie, for sure. Being open-minded, 100%, yes. Compassionate, yes. Judgment-free, yes. What else? Free to explore. I'll give us a couple more seconds. If you were to be a student, right? If you were to be recorded. If you were to be a student, what would you need? Like, think about your students, put yourself in their shoes. What do you think your students need? So engagement, right? A space where students feel drawn to, okay. Guidance, but with empathy, 100%, 100%. These are all great. No response is to feel welcome, to feel seen, right? Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be acknowledged. Everyone wants, you know, to be praised somehow, right? So that's a great one. Any last ones? To be known. Yes, to be known. So I'm going to read this from the beginning again. So in this room, for the time that we're here together, our safe space, what we need is to be open and understanding, no judgment, judgment-free, being open-minded, compassionate, free to explore, a safe space where students feel drawn to, guidance, but with empathy, to feel welcome and to be known. Awesome. So now that we've identified the things that we need to be in our safe space, if you can go ahead and put in the chat, I acknowledge my safe space. Just put that in so that I know it's like our signature that we're gonna stick to those things that we said. So I acknowledge my safe space. Go ahead and put it in the chat. I'll do it. I acknowledge my safe space. Awesome. Thank you. And just want to highlight that this is an activity. My understanding is that most of us on this call are frontline staff members. So you are on the ground with students. This is a great activity or just a great exercise overall to do with your students, to check in with them, right? To see where they're at once they come from school or they go to after school or they're in before care. You know, our kids are just waking up, we're just coming back from a long day. So check in with them. What is it do they need in order to thrive within your programs? And it's a great exercise to do amongst your colleagues or to do in a staff meeting, all right? So now that we are here, let's move. Oops, my screen is not budging right now. Here we go. So the holistic wellness wheel, we have 14 different versions of this wheel. I can share out with you up to 3 of them today. We have for different grade levels. We have them in Spanish. We have designed wellness wheels to fit spring breaks, different holidays. And we had one that we created for the pandemic, during the pandemic. And it's a tool that it's just a living document that takes sort of a temperature of where you are in your space at that time. So the wheel that we're going to focus on 9 categories, and we're just going to assess where we are, right? And I want you to be very mindful that this tool is not defining you at this. This is not a permanent definition of who you are or where you currently are. Why? Because you're a human being who has feelings. We have ebb and flows, and life happens. All right. So today you may be having an excellent day, but there may be things along the day that may throw your energy off. And it's the same thing that happens with students, right? Or vice versa. Today you may be having an awful day, but there are going to be things throughout the day that are going to excite you, that are going to change your perspective and your outlook. So that's what the tool is going to be focusing on today. So you're going to have an opportunity to be selfish and to really check in with yourself. So we're going to get into that personal development. So I'm going to share a link in the chat. Let me close this out. I'm going to share another link in the chat, actually. 1 second. And I'm going to share my screen as well. So let me share this. You can be an editor, copy link, done. We are here. Let me share this link with you, paste. All right. When you open that link, if you can please make a copy of it so that when you do start working on it, no one else sees what you're working on. All right. I'm going to share my screen so I can go over this with you. Now, the holistic wellness wheel, this is what it is. This is what it looks like. It is a wheel that has 9 categories that we're going to be working on, or I think it's 10 categories, miscounted. And we're going to assess where we are in each of these wheels. Now, the cool thing about this too is that each of those categories are defined for you. I'm not going to go ahead and define them for you because I don't want to influence your interpretation of each of these definitions. All right. But what I am going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm going to assess myself on this wheel. Now we're gonna have a scale from 1 to 3, right? We're gonna stick from 1 to 3. And 1 is gonna be the center. If you assess yourself a 1, it means that you need some work, right? You need a lot of work in that area that you're assessing yourself in. So I'm gonna start to do this, right? If you assess yourself a 2, you're midway. You know, you have some growing to do. Like you understand that you're perhaps self-aware, you're reaching that point of being whole and complete, but you still have some ways to go, right? If you assess yourself a 3, this means that you're closest to the wheel, to the sphere. This means that you're whole, you're complete, like you get it. You're completely self-aware where you are within your work, within your personal life, within wherever you are in your life. So I'm gonna start doing this. So for me, my self-awareness, I'm gonna give myself a high 2, a high 2. Oops, am I able to write? Let me give myself a pen here. Okay, I'm gonna give myself a high 2. I'm currently feeling, you know, very self-aware, but I'm a student of life and I like to think that there's always room for growth, right? Responsible decision-making, a high 2 too. A high 2. This is awful. Excuse the way that I'm marking things. I'm going to give myself a high 2 in responsible decision making. My self-regulation and self-management, I'm a 2 right now. I'm right at the middle. I'm just recovering from I'm still coming back from a growing year last year. And now that we are in the last month of the first quarter of the year, I'm making progress. So my self-management is working, it's growing. Physical activity, exercise and movement, high 2. I love the gym, I love working out, but it's just that I got to clean up the eating. This is why that physical activity is not a perfect 3 yet. As far as my confidence, career-wise, I'm a 2. I'm at a 2 right now. And my personal confidence, it's a 2 as well, right? There's some areas that I'm working on. My social and cultural awareness, I think I'm pretty good. I think I'm pretty aware of, you know, what spaces I'm in, what rooms I'm in, my interactions with different people. So don't want to say I'm a 3, but I'm up there. Digital consciousness and screen time. Okay, you know, let's bring it down to a low 2, close into a 1. I use Instagram for work, but sometimes I'm in bed and I'm scrolling and I'm learning things on TikTok. And I went to bed at 9 and then it's 12 a.m. and maybe I don't have control of my digital consciousness, you know, my screen time. My relationship skills, I'll give myself a 2. Depends how I'm looking at this, right? If I'm looking at it from a personal lens, a 2. If I'm looking at it from a professional standpoint, give myself a 3, right? Or a very high 2. So let's keep it very professional here. Mindful eating. I told you guys I'm working on this. Let me bring it down. In my home environment, solid. I cleaned my house, had like a deep cleaning. Everything feels good. I have my home office. Like it feels like it's a good space for me to be in. So I'm going to give myself a 3, right? So once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to connect these lines and I'm going to see what awkward shape comes up for me. And you're going to notice, oops, I missed one. You're going to notice that the more you do this activity, let's say you adopt it to do it weekly or daily or monthly, your design is going to change, right? Because if you're closer to the circle, you're going to your shape is going to look more like a sphere. If you are inwards, your shape is going to look like a star. If you're a little all over the place, it's going to be a funny looking shape. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to give us 3 minutes. I'm going to give us 3 minutes. It's 11:38 so that you can go ahead and assess yourselves. This is going to be individual personal time. And then we're going to come back and we're going to break down into group. So go ahead and assess yourselves. I shared the link in the chat. Please make a copy so that we're not writing over each other's work. And go ahead. And that's time. All right, guys. So what we're going to do now, we're going to break up into 2 rooms, right? And I'm going to keep the screen up. And what you're going to do is you're going to have 10 minutes. How many of us are on this call with the exception of 3 of us? So 11 of us. So there should be five in one room, 6 in another room. You're going to have 10 minutes to reflect, right? Reflect on this activity, reflect on the things that you observe. So what were some of your low points or some of your growing areas versus some of your strong points? What part of the wheel resonates the most with you personally? Are there any similarities with people in your group? So asking each other, hey guys, let's go through it. You know, how do you rate yourself in home environment, self-awareness, and going through that, right? So what were the similarities? How can you apply any of these concepts to yourself, or how can you apply them with your students? So how do you see yourself using this tool moving forward? And how can you see yourself using this tool with the students you work with? And then how quickly do you think you can begin implementing or taking this tool into effect? So I'm going to pause for a second. Are there any questions? Do you have any questions for me before we break out? And you can feel free to unmute yourself and speak and say, hey, yes or no.
Can you share this prompt in the breakout groups by chance so that we have the prompts to follow?
Yes, ma'am. I'll do that for you.
Thank you.
You're super welcome. All right, then. So we're going to go ahead and break out. So Jason, if you can break us out, please. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. If you can break us into two groups where they're going to have 10 minutes to work with each other. Okay, we're back. We are back. Welcome back. All right, let's reflect a little bit. I want to hear how it went. What were some of the conversations happening in the room? We gave you the privacy of not jumping in, and we wanted to be super organic and not feel the pressure of having us in there. So what group would like to just share some of the things that came up? What were some of the reflections that happened?
I don't mind to share a little bit about what we talked about.
Yeah, sure.
A couple of us work at kind of like the state level, so not direct service program providers.
Thank
but we
you.
were still, we were still able to talk with some of the direct service providers and still notice some similarities even across those realms. We talked about how some of them were more like our minds automatically went to work and we rated ourselves higher, but then when it came to like the home side of it, we maybe rated ourselves a little bit lower. We also talked about how the differences in how we would rate ourselves over like a longer period of time versus a shorter period of time. So utilizing it differently if you're looking at like short and long-term goals. So how that might impact like the usage of it. And we also talked about the versatility of it. So we talked about being able to utilize the tool for like teachers and staff, but also being able to utilize this. Becky mentioned she has a middle school group right now that she could use this with across, the weeks of her program each week to kind of raise that self-awareness component by monitoring some of the other areas on a self-assessment level. So those are some of the things that we talked about.
Thank you so much, Lauren. You hit so much. So thank you. I do want to start by saying that it's usually, this is what happens. People start to rate themselves and you rate yourself so much higher in your professional life, right? Because you got the resume, you got the degrees, you got the certificates, you're mandated to do these things and to always brush your skills because it's the job that you do, right? Now, when it comes to our personal lives, who's really following up and checking up on us, not many people. So you don't feel that same pressure to always be that uphold yourself to that same degree. And that's usually the case. And I like that you mentioned that. And this is a tool that can be adjusted and tweaked. You can use it for a month, for a day, for a week, however you see fit. And we'll go into that conversation in a little bit. So thank you so much. Does the other group want to share? Is there anybody there amongst the Zoom world who would like to say a word or two? I see Jim smiling. Jim, do you want to share a thing or two?
What I have to share is irrelevant to this conversation because I had tech issues the whole time. So if anyone else was in the group and was able to interact, that'd be great. But sorry, I can't share on this.
No, it's okay. I'm happy you're here then. All right, Stephanie, would you like to share something? I'm just picking on the people whose cameras are on.
Well, I was actually in Lauren's group, so.
Okay.
All of what she said.
Awesome. All right, then I won't keep pushing people. I don't want to make people uncomfortable, but let me go ahead and share my screen then. All right, so some of the things that I want to just mention about the tool and how you can use it. There's so many ways to use it. Some people have gone super creative, but these are some of the ways, right? You can use this tool to create goals, to goal set. So I know that Lauren, am I saying your name correctly? But I forgot now who the last person speaking. But you can use it to set goals, right? So you can use it to set goals with your students, with your staff members, and even on a personal level. You can use it for accountability groups. So holding each other accountable. Like if I had someone here, I'm like, hey, can we go work out every day together, hold each other accountable, use it sort of that to monitor that and track that progress. You can use a section on the tool to focus on with your class for those folks who are on the ground with students for that day, for that week, or for that month. So like I mentioned, you can make it as short as possible or as long as possible. Right? You can customize the wheel and add different categories or take away or just completely change what the categories are themselves and add brand new definitions. So you can get really creative. Especially for those of you who are preparing for summer camp sometime or for spring programming, sometimes we're creating our schedule and we're like, what do we do now? How do we fill this up? Well, you have an idea. Another way that this tool can be used is that students or even staff members can research different sections on the wheel and then just, answer or talk about why is it important for their wellness and their health and what is the impact? What is the impact about being self-aware? What benefit does it have on you as a being? What is the impact of monitoring your digital scrolling time or your social media time? Everything layers on everything. Oops, did I go far? You can use this to have conversations with family engagement activities. Our families in Los Angeles, we use it at different schools, and we are doing programming currently at the YMCA of Augusta in Georgia, and our families are very involved when it comes to the holistic wellness wheel, especially because it engages their children. So students and parents come together and they work on this wheel together, and then it trickles into the community programming. So programming with staff, programming with the directors, and then making it a whole school-wide project. You can use this wheel in a way where if you are comfortable and you have your wheel, you show your wheel first and like, hey guys, like I'm a human being. These are the areas of my life that I'm working on, but this is where I'm really good at. Now share your wheel with me. So it creates that social equity, and it's a conversation that we're always getting into in our other workshops. So social equity versus social equality, two different things, sound the same, but they're different. And if you have any ideas, how would you use this wheel? Just like a quick idea or two. Does anybody want to share? And it can be something that you already saw here. 15 minutes. Okay, we have 15 minutes. Does anybody have like another way they'd use this wheel, or this is pretty much the way you'd use it? All right, I'll keep going then. What's going on? Okay, is everyone here familiar with the CASEL framework, the CASEL SEL framework? And I'm just gonna scroll through, I see that Sam nodded. Becky, Kelly, are you ladies familiar with it? No? Yeah? Oh, Kelly isn't. All right, awesome. I would love to open this up and show you what it is. Lauren is. All right, so let me click on this link. So all of our work comes from this framework. So CASEL is an acronym for the collaborative, and I always forget what the A stands for. The collaborative blank social emotional learning. So they're a foundation that focuses on, I don't want to say they created, but they create the wheel, but they've done so much research, extensive research, showing why and how SEL, social emotional learning, works and its impact and its benefits. So it takes you from, it removes the idea of instruction, not that it's not important, but it focuses on the individual itself. So the website has a ton of resources that it focuses on. But what I do want to hit quickly is that our wheel, and you can see we have the same categories. We have self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. These are the pillars that we focus on because we find that it's important in the same way that CASEL does, that a human being is made up of these areas. And there are different parts of us or different pockets of us, but we have to focus within first, because when you focus within, it's like you're the nucleus, then everything else is affected by the person you are that you're becoming, right? You're an ever-evolving human being. So when it comes to students, we focus on the self, right? So all of this is a self, then it trickles into the classroom, right? So from the student, the classroom. Then we start going to the outer community, the school. Then from the school, the family and the caregivers. Right? So we're talking about home life. So from school to their home life, and then to the community, the person they become outside of school and outside of their home life. So SEL and the Castle framework, there's so much material, it can get really heavy. So I recommend if you go in, spend some time, come back, pull out, and then come back into it again. But there's a lot of material here that you can use in activities and all the good stuff. So let me close this screen down. Can you see the slide now? Yeah, okay. I was gonna go into some discussion, but I think it's gonna be a little redundant given that I now know the roles of the work that you do. I'm not gonna do this with you, but I do have a question for you. Do you see yourself being able to use this wheel in staff meetings or perhaps just within the work that you do? Is this a tool that you can take back and say, hey, I wanna implement this for a staff meeting, or I wanna have my staff use it for their kids? Lauren gave me a thumbs up. Kelly gave me a thumbs up and a nod. So did Becky. So did Zena. Okay. Cool. All right. So, are there any questions? Do you guys have any questions? I promise you we are wrapping up. We may be a few minutes early.
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. Well, just remember the following then. Before we officially finish, is there one thing that you liked, learned, or surprised you today? You can put it in the chat, feel free. Is there one thing you liked, learned, or surprised you? Oh, there's a question. I'm seeing the chat now. I love using this as a component for family engagement. Yes, I can share the family version. Not familiar with either. I want to use this for my family. Yes, I've used it with my daughter and it's pretty cool, right? My daughter is 10, she's growing up. So she's no longer a toddler. She's becoming an adolescent. So you see that. You said there were 14 versions of this. Is there one for elementary? There is one for elementary. And the one for elementary actually that we have, instead of using words, what we use is faces, so emojis. So instead of rating yourself from 1 to 3, students rate themselves or circle in, color in the faces. So you have like the super serious face, the frowning face, and like the super excited face. I love the holistic wellness. It will be a great tool for our faculty and for our after-school kids. Awesome. I like the idea of just concentrating on one area at a time. Yeah, it's pretty dope to just concentrate on one area and really make the assessment and see where you are. I think that because life happens so fast, you know, everything is in one big bubble for us and we have to figure it out. So taking the time out to just like, okay, let me look at this from a different lens or perspective is super helpful. All right, guys. So just the last thing I want to say is that you are extraordinary and remember that they are watching you. So lead them, and they means anyone and everyone, right? So from the littles to the elders, to the people that are in your office with you, or to the people that, you know, are in other spaces. So your home life, when you're not at work, people are watching you and people look up to you. Some people just don't say it. You know, some people don't give you that acknowledgement and that credit, but they are watching you. So with that being said, we are done. So we have an extra 7 minutes. We are 7 minutes early. If you are going to be here for the next workshop, we start at 12:30, and here we're going to do some additional work, and the name of this workshop is called Raise Them Up. So we are done for now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Tom, is there anything I left out or that you want to say?
No, one, just thank you, Jennifer. We appreciate you leading us through this work. Lots of great applications that we can see for folks' individual work in their local communities. I did drop in the chat a link to our conference evaluation. So we'd love folks to complete that conference evaluation so we can get some great feedback. This for Kentucky, this is our second year of doing our virtual conference. And so we always want to make it better for folks on the ground doing this incredible work. So please make sure you take a look at that. And like Jennifer said, we will be back at 12:30 for our next round of breakout sessions. Again, all you got to do, go to the homepage, Springboard summer.com, and you can click on session access, and you can view those next upcoming breakouts. And while we have a couple of extra minutes, in the meantime, please make your way over to the forum to connect with colleagues, ask questions, debrief about what you just learned from Jennifer, and talk about that with folks. And also, please visit our virtual exhibit hall to see some extra resources that can help you for your planning your summer learning experience this summer.
Awesome. And before people go, I put my email in the chat. If you want the slides, want any of the holistic wellness, we just want to get on a separate call, we can do that. I put not mine, but the company's Instagram handle on there. So it's kid_grit. Every day we're posting SEL tips of the day. I haven't done that yet, haven't had the time, but we're always posting what we're doing, where we are, just fun stuff. So feel free to follow us. And yeah, that's about it. Hope to see you again later.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central.